Hello everybody, Keith here, and welcome to another episode of Tech Lab. So, on today's show, we're going to be building a PC for somebody else. And if you're just tuning in, we've been hinting at this build for a little while. Let's get started. Hello everyone, and welcome to Tech Lab, the show where we talk about anything and everything tech-centric. Now, honestly, the only reason why this episode was slated for June is because of the reasoning. Let's just say, my dad has been using the same PC since 2009, and it's actually starting to show now. The computer can take a few minutes to maybe 8, depending on how rough it is to boot up. And Windows 7 is no longer in support, the operating system that it's running. So because of that, we're at the position that is currently present. And because of this, I came up with the idea to just completely build my dad a new computer, and with some of his input, this is the end result. So, keeping all that in mind, let's go over the parts list really quick. I'm not going to do a talking head setup this time either. So, for the build list, we have our CPU first, which is an AMD Ryzen 2400G, Ryzen 5 2400G, excuse me, running 3.6 GHz in a as a quad-core processor. The CPU cooler is the Noctua NH-L9A AM4 33.84 CFM CPU cooler. This, now yes, I'm not really 100% on if the main cooler will actually fit in the case that I've selected, but I just want to play it safe than sorry in this situation. So, moving on to the motherboard, we have the Gigabyte B450 Aorus Pro Wi-Fi Mini ITX motherboard. Again, this was done because of the case. The memory for this build is G-Skill Ripjaws V-Series 16GB DDR4 3200 MHz RAM. For storage, we have 2 this time, instead of my originally planned. No, I'm not even going to go into the original build, because we'd be here all day if I did. But let's just say the storage for this build, the boot disk I've selected is the Intel 660p series 1.02 TB M.2 2280 NVMe solid-state storage drive. And for secondary storage, we have a Samsung 860 QVO 2 TB solid-state drive. And honestly, this is an improvement over my dad's 500 GB storage capacity computer. And yeah, let's just say this had to be done. It's a safety thing in my experience. And finally, we've gone over everything except for some of the extras I will get to in a moment, but we finally look at the case. The case for this computer is the Fractal Design Node 202 home theater PC case with a 450 watt Integra SFX power supply. Now sure, probably could have saved a few bucks there and just kind of got the case and the power supply separate, but honestly, given my track record with how easy it is to kind of think, I'll buy it later, I'll buy it later, I'll buy it later, and so on and so forth. Let's just say this had to be done, so this build could actually get released when it was supposed to. So, with that, let's go over some of the extras I have selected for this build. My dad is kind of weird. But aside from myself, who does occasionally use physical media, my dad also uses physical media more often, and as a matter of fact, he has a ton of CDs, thus explaining the 3 TB storage capacity, and because of this, I chose a USB 3.0 super slim USB DVD drive. So that way, if I do somehow miss any music being migrated over to the new computer, he can take care of it from there. And also, to save some money to avoid getting a new monitor, we have decided that I'm just going to get him a VGA to HDMI adapter. This was cheaper in the long run anyways, as just a general safety thing. So, now that we've gone over the parts, I believe I should probably go over the old build really quick. My dad's computer came out in 2009, and because of that, it is running a pretty rough and dated overall setup compared to nowadays. If anything, it often feels more like a clunker. And considering the fact that it comes from a brand that no longer exists, eMachines, yeah, let's just say it's really something. Here we go. It is a... Come on, work with me here. There we go. It is an eMachines 183105 desktop PC. It is a budget desktop with a processor running 800 megahertz, cache memory of L2 cache with 512 kilobytes installed. RAM is DDR2 at 3 gigabytes. Storage is a SATA with a DVD drive running at 16 times, and a hard drive capacity of 500 gigabytes. I think the hard drive in my dad's computer is a little bigger than that because it's coming up as 580 something. It's not small by a long shot. Oh, here's some more data about the processor. It is a Celeron 450 processor. Optical storage was DVD-RW. There's no removable storage built in. And everything is more or less integrated, and it came with Windows 7 Home Premium and a graphics processor of the GeForce 7050. Honestly, the computer had a good run. I think I had my first instances of my channels a long back in the last decade now, back in 2011, and while very little of that footage actually exists, you can find some of it over in the Internet Archive, let's just say that computer was my starting point, and I wanted to make a worthy successor to it. And so, this is that successor. So, without any further ado, I've gone into enough backstory and enough reasons why this has to be done. So, let's get to it. We got a lot of work to do and a short time to do it in. And before you guys go and say anything in the comments, no, we're not going to be building on this. We'll be doing it on the plastic table just like normal. Or maybe the metal table. I think the build's generally small enough. I think it could work. Oh well, let's give it a shot. So, let's get started. Okay, everyone. So, we have got all the parts out of their boxes. There is the case right there, and I gotta say, putting this thing for size, this is what it looks like with a monitor, and admittedly, that is respectable. Yeah, man, this is gonna look weird when it's done. Goodness gracious. I gotta say, for a mini ITX case, I really thought it'd be smaller. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to the build. Okay, so we're at the point now where I can say that we're pretty much everything's moving smoothly so far, well, aside from, you know, that. I'm sure you probably didn't notice because I was moving a little bit faster, but let's just say sometimes I can't tell my left from my right. Ugh. So all that's left now is to put the cooler on and the storage drive, which that actually looks kind of nice. Probably should have shown off this box. Yeah, let's continue. Goodness gracious. Well, once again, the cooler is the thing that gives me the most trouble. I might just do this part of the installation off screen. I'm sure some other YouTube videos have shown how to do it already. So, I'll be right back. Well, after consulting the manual and the lack of an on button, I don't really feel like trying to short out the system I don't feel like shorting the motherboard would be very safe. So I think we're just gonna go ahead and put the thing in the case and just go from there. Okay, so to take apart the case, just kidding.
Like this.
Okay, so now that we got the thing off, I'll admit it was kind of difficult, but it doesn't look terrible. Oh, there's the power cord. Cool. It comes in the case. So anyways, the neat thing about this case is, aside from the fact that you have room for a full-size graphics card, not like we're going to need one, this is an APU, you also get plenty of dust filters. Come on, you, get back in there. There we go. You also get case filters, some other stuff, and yeah. You also get a box of accessories, which basically is how you're installing stuff. And let me just think here. Overall, I think this was a good case to start. So, I think this is a good case for my dad and the rest of my family, because he's not the only one who uses it, to be honest. was the part that I wish these companies would make easier. And the part that I'm definitely going to have to consult the manual for. Ah, my legs. Alright. Wow, 20 minutes of recording. Jeez. Good thing this was sped up. We'll be right back after the power switch is plugged in. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, managed to get the power switch plugged in. Let's hope it works. First, this. You in here. And okay. Where is our on button here? Ah, here it is. Oh dear. Okay, now. Well, looks like after a power on off screen, turns out I just had the power switch. I just had the switching incorrect. For this PC and this motherboard, you have to connect the power switch cable to the red part of the motherboard, which is this weird area right. Unfortunately, this has it flipped, at least the way I see it. But basically, the end result... Can you see it moving? Oh, shit. Can you see it moving? Haha. Looks like I got it. Of course, there's no operating system in there right now, so that's why it's orange. But, we are now... But, really quick, I'm gonna go ahead and go hook this up to the TV and get the BIOS going, and we'll go from there. Okay, I hate to interrupt this video at the 20-minute mark. Good God. Let's just say I am filing a bit of an addendum. About 2 weeks after the build was completed, the motherboard completely crapped out. I know, right? That kind of sucks, doesn't it? So, what we ultimately wound up having to do is we basically had to order a whole new motherboard and completely rebuild the thing from the ground up again. But, thankfully, we were able to transfer over the hard drive with no issues. And because of that, I guess we kind of got lucky there. Thankfully, everything just kind of turned out for the best, but still, this is just a case of... This isn't the only time this happened either, because when I was trying to figure out what the issue was with the motherboard, with my dad's motherboard, I used my power supply from Project Lapis, and it caused the power supply to crap out. How, I have no idea, but it did. And so I wound up switching the power supply to Lapis eventually and trying to get it back up and running, and for some reason it wouldn't turn on. I tried to use the bronze power supply and it wouldn't turn on, so I wound up getting a whole new one and tried to get it turned on, and it didn't. Once again, it didn't work. And once again, we've confirmed that the motherboard was the issue there. And so basically Lapis and FA20 had to basically have their motherboards completely taken out and rebuilt. So yeah, note to self, never use Aorus boards ever again, they fucking suck. Anyways, mind my language. Let's just say the end result at the moment is that FA20 wound up with a Asus board and Lapis wound up with a Tough Gaming board. And we will go to the sizzle reel from the earlier attempt in a moment, but let's just say that just brings it into this little addendum. Let's go ahead and get back to the program, shall we?